and welcome to Qtr Time podcast in partnership with Carbon Jacked. I'm Lucy G.
And I'm Lucy P. And we're here to bring you all the netball goodness you never knew you needed.
We're delighted to say that this series of Qtr Time podcasts is supported by Carbon Jacked, an environmental startup that helps you combat climate change.
They're an awesome company that provide monthly memberships which plant trees, support epic climate projects, and help you to reduce your carbon footprint.
Memberships start from just £2.50 per month, so you can help save the planet for less than a cup of coffee.
Signing up is super easy. Go to carbonjack.com and enter NetballPod for a huge 30% off. The link is in our show notes. Go check it out.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to episode 6 of Qtr Time. Round 6 is done and dusted, and there is so much to digest yet again. Luce, what we got coming up today?
So firstly, we're going to recap some of the news from this week. It's not like there's been that much news, has there?
Quiet week.
Yeah. And then we'll whip through our usual 3-word summaries before moving on to our game of the round and our player of the round. Our guest today needs no introduction. We are chatting with the incredible Cat Tuivaiti about her playing career so far, everything from the early days moving away from home, being dropped and picked up again by the Silver Ferns, being a role model, and her off-court journey in the last few years. This is a good one.
Honestly, we've interviewed quite a lot of people now. We're very, very fortunate. But I have to say, Kat is one of the ones that I fangirled the most over.
Hugely.
Incredible. Absolutely.
I think you can actually hear me grinning for the entire interview. So embarrassing.
Yeah. The struggle was real not to sound like a total fangirl. But yeah, no, really excited for that. But before we get to that, obviously, the biggest news is that Serena Guthrie is pregnant, which is amazing news. And with that comes her retirement from elite netball, both domestic and international. I mean, wow, absolutely elated for her. Such good news. But at the same time, I can't help but be a little bit heartbroken.
Yeah, I'm exactly with you on that one. I think somebody on Twitter described it as bittersweet, which I think is so true. And I think as well, it did kind of catch us all by surprise.
Yes.
In terms of, she's been off. There was a bit of speculation, but nothing was really confirmed. And then, to hear this news today, I mean, it was a shock, definitely. A good and bad one, I think, is quite accurate. And I actually think, I was thinking this to myself earlier, that they should have pre-warned us, because everyone was just at work, going about their daily lives, and then we have this massive news, which is huge. I mean, this is absolutely massive news in the netball world. And there should have been like a bank holiday or something for netball fans, because we were just not ready for this news at all.
Yeah, 100%. I genuinely thought that she had glandular fever. I thought that had come back. We know she had it a few years ago, and I thought that's why she was sitting out. So it has honestly floored me, this news. I've done nothing but think about this all day. But yeah, obviously we're so happy for her, and we wish her all the best. And hopefully we can see her maybe doing a bit of coaching or getting on the comms in a year or two. So congrats, Serena, to you and to your family. I am just going to go and cry in the corner though.
Yeah. Also though, imagine the genes on that baby.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah. Get ready.
please be a girl. Future Rose.
Or a boy.
Or a boy. I don't know. Oh, there's that competition, isn't there, to name the England men's team?
Yeah, I've seen that. I've had zero inspiration for it, but I saw thorns or something floating around, which I really liked.
Yeah, so roses and thorns. Yeah, I quite like that. So yeah, future rose or a future thorn, who knows?
And the other news this week is that the ANZ Premiership is starting on the 13th of March. Very exciting. We've had already one game postponed due to COVID, and some other locations have changed and things like that. So COVID very much still alive and well, unfortunately, over in New Zealand, but really looking forward to that. And we'll be doing a recap of those games next week with a very special guest.
Yeah, really excited about that. But bringing it closer to home, obviously we've just had round 6. It would be remiss of us if we didn't mention the technical issues that we experienced, particularly during the Rhinos Wasps game. You know, obviously the fire alarm that happened in the Stars Dragons game, that was just very unfortunate. Nothing really can be done about that. But at least the full game did get played on, I think it was Mixon Arena. Event did cut to football, understandably. But the technical issues that we had in the Rhinos Wasps game were beyond frustrating, I think is fair to say.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think there hasn't been any explanation about why we keep having these issues. Is it to do with the commentators not being on location? Is it to do with somebody tripped over the wire? I don't know. It's impossible to say. And I do feel that as fans, we've kind of used it's the first few rounds, it's teething problems. But now, you know, we're in round 6 and it's still happening. So what's going on there? We don't know.
Yeah, the biggest problem for me is that we've had at least one technical issue of some variety every single week now. It's not a one-off. It is something that's happening repeatedly. And I think the problem with this one in particular is that it lasted for so long. It was half of the third quarter and half of the fourth quarter. So, you know, that's almost an entire quarter there that we missed. And even I, as a netball diehard, I actually tuned off. I didn't catch the rest of the game because I threw a bit of a temper tantrum and threw my toys out the pram. But yeah, it's kind of hard. It's a hard pill to swallow.
Well, that's the thing, as you've said before, it's not a particularly good advert for our game. And if you were a new netball fan coming in to watch and that happened, you know, you're also likely there to switch off. And I think Netball Scoop posted the numbers that were watching before that issue and afterwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good for us not to labour the point too much, I think, but it's worth mentioning because we need to keep an eye on this sort of stuff and demand better.
Yeah, totally with you on that. So let's get down to business with our 3-word summaries. Luce, take it away.
So first up, we had Bath Thunder. Incredible scenes. 53 Bath, 57 Thunder. And for this one, my 3-word summary was 7 on defense.
Nice.
This game was a roller coaster from start to finish. I loved it. It was a cracker. It was a journey emotionally. There's a turnaround. I would actually go so far as to describe this as a piece of art. Bath were leading at 3/4 time, and then Thunder just steamrolled them in the last quarter, which actually started 10-0. Not over that at all.
Ouch.
The overriding thing for me was just how much both teams wanted it. We saw incredible turnovers from nearly all the players on court, just a magnificent performance from Thunder, and they're just classy, confident, and cutthroat this season. Love it.
Yeah, you love to see it. It is great, isn't it? First game on Saturday was Pulse versus Stars, with Pulse getting a massive 29-goal win, 64-35. We were actually there in person, which was great. And the 3-word summary I've gone for is flex those muscles. This was a big win for Pulse, taking a 36-18 second half. Pulse literally won pretty much every single matchup on court, I think. They had textbook moves in attack in the second half in particular. They were just looking so slick and so sharp, which is amazing to see. Stars struggled, to put it mildly. They were hesitant on the feed. They only shot at 74% in total. They had 14 unforced errors compared to just 5 for Pulse. But Stars were genuinely just being smothered across court. And I don't know, why do they not try Herdman in the shooting end if Cat's still out of action? Like, look at her at fast 5. Give it a go. You've got nothing to lose at this point, particularly as Izzy Eaton was out of action in this game. Like, just try it, in my opinion. Pulse managed to get all 12 out on court and found themselves leapfrogging Bath to get into the top 4 for the first time this season.
First time ever, actually, in fact.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. There we go.
Next up, Sirens 59, Storm 57. And I said, very important win. This could be a turning point for Sirens, you know. After a pretty difficult opening to the season, they managed to just eke out a victory at home in a real clutch game against Storm. Storm have been chomping at the bit for wins recently, and this one went down to the wire. Player of the match, Gia Abernethy, said she was proud of her side for getting the win, despite some unusual pre-game circumstances, which included a technical issue with the floor. Have you seen that video of Beth Dix dancing?
Yeah, icon.
It's absolutely iconic. Love that. As for Surrey Storm, Leah Middleton starred again for them. 3 defensive rebounds, 1 intercept, 6 deflections, 5 turnovers. Incredible scenes. 4 Storm players actually ended up with cautions in this game. So it sounds like a pretty spicy affair.
Yeah, blimey. Following this was Lightning versus Mavericks, a really surprising game, I think we can say, with Lightning taking the win 71-47. And I've gone for that will sting. This scoreline probably would have been a shock to many. And I literally had to do like one of those classic double takes when I went onto Twitter to check the score. I'm not entirely sure, going by the tweets from both sides, if it was a case of Lightning being exceptional, Mavs being poorer than anticipated, or maybe a bit of both that led to this shock result. But with a 19-7 first quarter from Lightning, Mavs just left themselves with way too much to do. And Lightning are not the team to try and mount a comeback against.
Yeah. Next on to Sunday, we had Rhinos versus Wasps, with Rhinos taking the win 44-43, real close one. And thank you to Ellie Curlis, who sent in a 3-word summary for this. She said, "Scrappy Rhinos victory." This was a weird one, quite low scoring, which usually suggests kind of strong defensive pressure, which I do think was the case in part. But a lot of it was just attacking errors or misconnections, and in some cases, just total brain farts. There were a lot of missed opportunities from both teams, as Mel Mansfield alluded to after the game. And to be honest, I think Rhinos were quite lucky to get away with this one. Wasps are still building this year, and I mean, there's a lot of work still for them to do, but hats off, Rachel Dunn hasn't missed a goal since round 4, by the way. And, she's playing out in goal attack now as well, which I'm warming to. I have to say I'm warming to it. Not 100% sold, but, we're getting there.
What I love with her being there is actually the defensive pressure that she's bringing. I think it's absolutely top notch. So, like you, not totally sold, but I do love what she's doing there.
Yeah.
Last game of the round was Stars versus Dragons, with Dragons getting their first win of the season. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And they won 58-42. Woo-hoo. And for my summary, I've been very uncreative and I've just gone for let's go Dragons. How good is it to see Dragons finally get the win? They've absolutely been building for this, and they've actually got now their first win 7 games earlier than what they did in 2021. So I don't know what Danny's feeding them, but whatever it is, Danny, don't stop, because it seems to be working. Dragons honestly just looks pumped, raring to go throughout the entire game, whereas Stars again just looks flat, deflated. It was another heavy loss for Stars, having just come off the back of a 29-goal loss to Pulse, so things really aren't looking great for them at the moment. Melissa gave a very interesting post-match interview where she said that she just had no words, was pretty critical actually of the umpiring, to the extent that she actually put out a plea looking straight down the camera and said, "Gary, help us." It was quite a highly penalised game. It was 52 to Stars, 45 to Dragons. But as a spectator, it didn't really feel like it was particularly one-sided or anything. So I do find the criticism of the umpiring curious, and it's not the first time that we've heard this from Melissa either.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that if other coaches were also saying it, maybe it's something to consider, but it's really just been Melissa, and I agree with you. I didn't see anything untoward, particularly in this game. I think she said something like, "I just feel like telling the players to go out there and fight."
Yeah.
Which it really baffled me, because, yes, the game is physical and the umpires manage it and play to the whistle, really, is my only thought on that one.
I find it interesting, because it's the same as what we saw in the Jamaica series against England, where the head coach of Jamaica was questioning the umpiring and saying that they didn't really have a chance to perform. But if you watch both of those games objectively, you can see things that Stars weren't executing to the best of their ability. So, you know, one could argue that maybe that's where you should be focusing your attention on before you turn to the umpiring. But yeah, it's a really interesting discussion point.
Yeah, for sure. Moving on to our game of the round. So unsurprisingly, I've gone for Bath versus Thunder. And talking of whistle, as we just have been, there was a lot of whistle in this game. 56 penalties to Thunder, 47 to Bath. Most on court was Mawene, who ended up with a warning and 23 penalties. Ooh. But interestingly, Kerry Almond wasn't far behind with 20 penalties and no warning or caution. Looking at some of the other stats quickly, Thunder had 27 deflections to Bath's 17, and Bath had 10 unforced errors to Thunder's 6. Shooting-wise, Borgia and SDL shot at 100%, netting 22 and 20 apiece, and Betsy Creek shot 11 from 16 at 68%. Overall in this game, I didn't feel it was clear why she was brought on. I thought Borgia was having an outstanding game against Almond and stood up to that pressure really well. Not to take away from Creek, who I think is an excellent player, but I don't agree with that decision for me. And I don't think Creek has the experience or possibly the physical strength to stand up to arguably one of the best and most informed GKs in our league. She also had the most unforced errors of anyone on court with 3.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, I would say that this is probably a questionable coaching choice to bring Creek on, because Borgia, I think she just needed a little bit more time to sort of settle, or I don't know, maybe a bit of a confidence boost or something. But I don't think bringing Creek on was the answer, particularly against the Thunder side. But what stuck out for me in this game is the ridiculous strength of Thunder's bench and the flexibility that they have across the court as a squad. Literally any combination that they put out there could be a winning one. And when you've got the likes, you know, the caliber of a Caroline O'Hanlon or a Joyce Mvula on your bench, I would say that you're onto a winner there.
Yeah, there's no doubt that Thunder have the best bench in the league. I'll absolutely say that. Yeah. And I will, you know, I'll live and die by that comment probably by the end of the season. But don't forget, though, that Bath were actually leading for most of this game. It was only a small lead, but going into that final quarter, it was actually 42-39 to Bath. And then, as we said in the summary, Thunder had 10 unanswered goals. I just couldn't believe what was happening at that point. It was just like everything fell to pieces. So the Bath errors, I went back to watch this game because I was really interested in what exactly went wrong at that point. And the first one was no one coming forward on the centre pass. The second one was just a telegraphed pass that got picked off. Then it was a poor pass, a footwork call, which to be fair was a great challenge by Laura Malcolm, and then somebody not coming towards the ball. So all just individual errors consecutively, one after the other, and it was just too much for Bath. They couldn't keep a handle on this game.
Yeah, I mean, in that quarter, they got their first goal after 6.5 minutes. Wowzer, like, that's crazy. How often do we see that?
Well, we did see that, didn't we? It's giving me trauma flashback memories to the final of the quad series.
Oh, God. Less said about that, the better.
We'll move on quickly. But, you know, that is danger signs for Bath. But on the flip side, Thunder, you know, they can punish. They can punish any team. They can come from behind. They can lead the whole way. It's really looking interesting to see who's going to stop them this year. I don't think anyone will.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not in the final by the end of the season, something has gone horribly, horribly wrong.
Yeah, agreed.
So moving on to our player of the round. This week, we've gone for Annabelle Roddy.
Yay!
I thought she had an absolutely smashing game against Stars. The stats against her name for this game are insane. She got 5 intercepts, 3 deflections, 6 turnovers, and only 6 penalties, which I think is pretty impressive, seeing as she played a whole game in goal defence. Like, anything below 10 in that goal circle for me, I think is pretty great. I think in the first half, she started with such high energy and intensity. That first half performance from her in particular was really, really solid. And I just think it's just really nice to see her get some proper game time, because we know that she sort of struggled to get on court a little bit when she was at Lightning because they just had such a strong squad. But I think as well that partnership that she's building with Shaquanda Green-Knoll is is going to be something really special by the end of it. And I think that's almost helped her come out of her shell a little bit, or to like solidify her position on court. And as well, I believe this was her first ever player of the match in the Super League. So just think it's really lovely.
Yeah, I think she's really relishing getting the start, and it's an argument, isn't it, for having as many teams in the league as we do, to give those opportunities to those young players. And she was instrumental in Dragons getting the win, just reading the ball so well. That partnership, like you mentioned, yeah, really big things to come from her, I think.
Yeah.
Coming up next, we chat to the one and only Cat Tuivaiti. Cat has played 24 tests for the Silver Ferns and 30 for Samoa, and her incredible rollercoaster journey has had ups, downs, and everything in between. Just to say before we begin, our conversation with Cat features a discussion on miscarriage, body image, and social media abuse. If you're seeking help on any of these issues, we've put some links in our show notes to places you can go for support. Our chat with Cat is coming up just after this short break. Do you want to help combat climate change? Well, you can by joining Carbon Jacked. We're both members and we love it.
Memberships start from £2.50 and your money goes towards amazing projects, from planting trees in the Peak District to providing refugees with sustainable solar cookers. You can get a huge 30% off by entering Netball Pod when you sign up at carbonjacked.com.
Carbon Jacked also do loads of great work with businesses, so get in touch if your company wants to become more sustainable. All the info you need is in the show notes, so make sure you take a look.
It is a massive honour to welcome the self-proclaimed biggest mouth in netball. It's Cat Tuivaiti. Welcome to the pod, Cat, and obviously little Leo, who's there with you. How are you both?
He should be asleep. No, we are good. We are very good. We are loving our little adventure here in the UK. But yeah, it's challenging, but we're having a great time.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. You know, we joke about you having the biggest mouth in netball, but actually I think it's a really, really positive thing, because we've been able to see so much of your personality and your character on court. And throughout your career, you've been super honest and open about some of the off-court stuff as well, which I think as fans we're actually really grateful for. So, you know, thank you for being so yourself, I suppose. But today we'd love to take a deep dive into your netball career so far and your journey through the sport and through life, starting way back at the very beginning. So you moved away from home to play netball when you were just 14, and you described that experience as really sad and lonely. Who or what did you look to for courage during this difficult time and at such a young age?
Yeah, I think when I speak about it is when it does kind of dig up the feelings I had, but I didn't really recognise at the time. I do come from a very big family, so when I say, you know, sad and lonely, I mean, it sounds terrible, but at the time I didn't quite understand it. I was just remarkably alone, and so it was really hard, you know, as a young kid growing up with so many brothers and sisters, to go from that to instantly a dead quiet house overnight, a brand new school that was about literally 10 times bigger than the school I was at. I was seeing new kids at school every day. I'm not a small person, so I can't blend in very well. So I was noticed all the time, and you know, it was just pretty hard for a young girl who's, you know, trying to transition into a woman, and like all these things were happening emotionally, physically. You know, I was changing and I didn't have my sisters there or my mum. It was very interesting, but I think I really took it on myself to prove that I could get through it. So I spent a lot of times feeling those emotions alone, because I refused to let anybody see me weak. When I was younger, I think I saw those emotions as weak, and I was like, no, you're not going to make me feel like that. I am going to be very tall and confident at school, but really I was petrified on the inside. I'm like, please don't look at me, please. Like, you know, I was a new kid at school. I was like, oh, don't look this way. So yeah, it was very different, but I guess putting on that facade helped me actually understand how to deal with situations that did make me uncomfortable. And as I got older, those actually became my real feelings. So it was a bit of an act when I was younger, but now this is who I am, and I do stand tall and proud and out there because this is who I am. This is what I look like, and everyone just has to deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's amazing. Like when you think of everything that, you know, anyone, let alone someone who's, you know, taller than your average person and, you know, maybe sticks out like a sore thumb, think about everything that anyone is going through with puberty and the changes to your body physically, emotionally, being away from your family. Like that's a lot to contend with on your own. So, you know, I think you've turned out pretty great. So
I'm a big fan of myself. I mean, it's so crazy because I didn't realize it at the time, and it's only when I am asked about it, you know, how did all this start and why are you like that? And then I talk about it and I'm like, far out, why didn't I just give up? Because I could have just gone home at any second. I could have rang my mum and dad and gone, oh, I don't like this, but I'm pretending I was okay. And I think that, honestly, I do think that did set me up to become a very independent and strong woman, and mum.
Yeah. Oh,
so it's crazy when I do reminisce and think about that stage of my life, because I actually couldn't tell you why I didn't throw the towel in, to be honest, but I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah, well, it definitely shows your strength of character. If we fast forward a few years, you had a bit of time away from the international scene, having had to take a break internationally after representing Samoa in 2005. So in 2011, you were actually named in the Silver Ferns squad for the World Cup year, but then later found out that you were ineligible for the Ferns due to a technicality, and you went through an arduous legal process. Did you feel like this was, for lack of a better word, legitimate, or did you think that there was something else going on behind the scenes?
Oh, I have no doubt it was a huge personal ploy. I'm not sure if it was against me or Netball New Zealand, but the exact same situation was happening in the netball world at the exact same time. And so, you know, it's got to go through a bunch of different people, and there were rules set in place, but apparently it only affected myself and Netball New Zealand. So I'm not sure who ruffled whose feathers, but it was a learning curve for me. I didn't just appear on the international scene. I was being groomed by Netball New Zealand. So it was another emotional kind of hardship for me, being selected and then a few weeks later being deselected. So it was rough, but it was another one of those challenges that kind of shaped me again. It was something that I knew I wanted. It was something that got really close and then got taken away. So I knew how much it meant to me. So yeah, I'm not really the technicality I'm unsure about even to this day, but it was something that happened. It was something that will always be a part of my journey, and I don't regret my stand down for a second, to be honest. It did make my path to become a Silver Fin, which was my ultimate dream, quite long. But I also got to play some netball against some of the big dogs in the netball world, man. Like, I loved it, and I would do it again.
Oh, amazing. And when you finally got to debut against England later on that year, what do you remember from that match?
I remember being so nervous, and I just remember I don't remember like anything about the game, anything about leading up to the game. I just remember thinking in the national anthem, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. You're a badass. Don't cry, don't cry. Because it was so cool. I had sung it before. I had been a part of it, and I knew how much it meant to me. I knew how many people were backing me. I knew who was there every time I fell. And so I knew it meant a lot to a lot of people, not just me, but a lot of people in my family. So it was so cool that I knew I'm a crier. Oh my God, you guys, I cry, man. I cry when I'm angry. I cry when I'm frustrated. When Pinocchio got taken away from Geppetto, I cried. I cry all the time. Nobody really knows that about me, but I just didn't want to cry in that because emotions started hitting me and all the things I'd gone through, and I was like, shit, it's finally here. I get to do the fun stuff. So man, it's one of my favourite memories.
Oh, that's incredible to hear, actually. And that was obviously the start for you, and you had several years in the Ferns. And in 2017, you moved to the Central Pulse, had an incredible season. You were the most accurate Kiwi shooter in the league, according to Wikipedia. And
I wrote that. No,
yeah, I did. Yeah. I would fully back you if you had written that.
I wrote something far more ridiculous.
You've certainly had an incredible time, and you were fantastic in that particular season. However, you weren't invited to trial for the Silver Ferns later that year, and Janine Southby apparently said this was due to fitness concerns. But we read also that you never actually received a clear explanation from Netball New Zealand on why this had happened. So looking back now, after you've had a few years and a bit of time to reflect, what are your thoughts on this omission?
Are you asking if I'm still pissed off about it?
Yes.
I'm not angry. I knew I was the best at the time. I don't really know how else to say that without sounding arrogant, and it's not coming from an arrogant place in my heart. I moved from my beloved Mystics, who I'd played for I think 9 years, in order to still be a Silver Ferns option. That's all I wanted to do, because my husband was still living away. And as long as I lived away from him, because he was in Italy playing rugby, as long as I lived away, I was going to do everything I could, because that was the promise I'd made to him. Like, if I can't be with you, then I'm going to try and do this. And so I moved away, and I got like a bit of a zest for the game again, because I had a completely different set of people around me. A lot of my game came back, the game that I used to play when I was a bit younger, the sneaky, cheeky, sassy part of my game, when we just let the ball flow. It was free, it was creative, and I did my part in a team that had never made a playoff get to the grand final. I was a part of that, and I thought I was good enough, at least for a trial, and no one had spoken to me all year. And because the public were asking questions, the only thing Janine said was fitness concerns. Now, the easiest thing to say about me, because I am not a small human, is that my fitness is terrible, when I would much rather just be told she doesn't like me, she doesn't want me in the team anymore. It's not easy to swallow, but at least it's a bit closer to the truth. And so, yeah, I was mad at the time, but I was content with the product of netball that I was playing that year, and how much I enjoyed it, and how much I had helped my team and did as much as I could to help the team that I was playing for succeed. It was hard for me to do that. Our very first game was the Mystics. I couldn't leave the room. I'm getting goosebumps now. I hated it. I was like, I don't think I want to play this game. I got really, I welled up a little bit. I'd never played against the Mystics. And for them to be our first game, I thought was a huge setup. And I couldn't go and practice my goals because I didn't want to walk past Maria. And it was just so weird for me. But I knew why I was doing it. And then as soon as that first whistle went, I was like, come on then, Anna Harrison, let's go. And so it turned into a real game. It was just the lead up and the emotions of making that decision, the emotions of still not going over to see my husband to try just this one last time to be a Silver Fern, or to be told something that she just made up at the top of her head, or whoever made it up. So I thought it was a bit disrespectful, but I sit here now a few years later, not pissed off, but very content with what I did. And so their decision was up to them, and my decision to actually move on was mine, because I can't fight a battle that I'm actually never going to win. So I was able to walk away happy.
Yeah, I think that's really amazing. And it kind of comes down to, what in life is in your control and what isn't in your control. And obviously her decision wasn't. You had categorically done everything that you possibly could have done, playing your best netball, all those tricks and all those lovely things that we love to see. But it just it hadn't worked. And yeah, I suppose it's interesting reflecting back now, but obviously you've come on an amazing journey and now playing over here in the Super League. And as we mentioned at the top of the show, you are a self-confessed loudmouth, and notably one of the most outgoing and open players in the game. And your reputation, both on and off the court, is known absolutely globally. And we wondered, have you ever put your foot in it so badly that you've had to backtrack? Do you have any kind of embarrassing moments you can share?
I like to think that when I run my mouth, that it's something that I don't mind people hearing, and I never want to be disrespectful or rude, but I do want to be straight up and honest. And I know there is a line there. That line used to be a little bit blurry when I was younger. And so as I've gotten older, I have learnt, that doesn't need to be said, Catherine? maybe don't mention that part. But I haven't put my foot in it before. And I'll own things that I say that people don't enjoy, or I'll tease people that are offended by things that I say because it's not my problem, you've taken it the wrong way. But when I was younger, I had this really bad habit of thinking that I was defending my teammates when I was just keeping that door open for them to be attacked even further. Not all fights are mine. I don't like bullies, and I think that there is no place for them. So, when I would see a teammate or my whole team be attacked for a poor performance or a really bad scoreline, I would jump on and have an online fight with people, when it wasn't my fight. And I was, like I said earlier, just making it worse. And so I have learnt about that. I have learnt that we're allowed to disagree and not everything needs my attention. I can kind of have a giggle just with my 8-month-old son. And so, I don't think there's anything. I don't know if you've got anything for me where I might have put my foot in it, but I think if I am as honest as I can be, then I don't have to keep track of what I say.
I absolutely love that. I mean, I'm very similar in character. I'm quite straight down the line. I'm straight talking. I'll tell you how it is. And I do find that I often have to sugarcoat what I say in fear of, offending people or, whatever, when actually in a lot of other sports, particularly male dominated sports like football, that you just don't, you just say it how it is, and you could be a bit more brutal with each other. Even like what you said earlier about, it's not coming from a place of arrogance. No, of course it's not coming from a place of arrogance. You have every right to be like, I was damn good at that time. I was the best in the world. That's just owning, do you know what I mean? That's owning your, who you are. So I absolutely respect that. And I think it's really interesting that you mentioned about bullies just then. You've often said in interviews that you don't look like the average netballer, and you've been on the receiving end of numerous negative comments about your weight. And I think that one of the best things about netball is that it can be played by anyone of any shape or size, and each stature has its own advantages on court. How did you cope with those comments and this wider societal pressure for women to sort of shrink themselves into a very specific box?
I guess when I was younger, I resorted to the same defense mechanism I had when I was starting everything new, and I was sticking out like dog's balls, I guess. I'm so sorry, I don't have another analogy. It's what we say in New Zealand. It sounds terrible. But I don't even remember what you just asked. I can't believe I just said that.
I mean, we normally say sticking out like a sore thumb, but I prefer.
Oh my God, I slowed down because I knew there was another analogy, but I was like, no, dog balls, I'm going to say it.
We'll roll with it.
I'm so sorry. No, actually, I'm not sorry. That's a common saying in New Zealand. And if you're visualizing it, then it works. There
you go.
So I think I used to kind of put on a facade again when, I was getting picked on. But my God, every time I'd read it, it would feel like a little needle, in my heart. Because, you can't, I want to say, and I want people to think that I don't care. You know, be like me. I don't care. It doesn't hurt. It friggin' hurts, man. Like, especially when they're people that don't know what you've done to get there, or how hard you've tried to lose weight, and you still can't look like anybody else that you're standing next to, or, you know, all these things that not just women, but mostly netballers go through just to be able to play, just to get on the screen that makes you look a little bit bigger. And so they just comment on that and nothing else. And so it would hurt every time. There's no, I can't even remember a time I read something and truly didn't care. But, you know, I would always come back to the fact that, one, they don't actually know me or what I've had to do. Two, I've never seen anyone like me have to do this stuff. So three, I am going to stand up and be like, come on then, come for me. It's all right. Like, I will have a little cry. I'm not going to tell you about it. I'm not going to let you see it, but then I'm going to carry on anyway, because who the hell are you? And it's just something that, like, I would rather go through so that someone else like me can see that it's okay. And that's the only thing that kept me going, really. I mean, there was my family who are just as sassy and big-mouthed as me, who would kind of try and defend my honour online, and that would give me a giggle. And then, you know, my husband, he was always in my corner. And so it was just a process of elimination, you know, feel the hurt because I can't pretend, but then try and combat that with what I knew about myself and what I was trying to do and who I was trying to be for someone else. So, yeah, it was just a little process I had to go through, but not really looking for it was probably the most important part of moving on from stuff like that, because if you go looking for it, you'll find it, you know, and you just can't really read the comments and, you know, and stick your chest out and stand up tall when everyone's loving you, because in the same breath, you'll die by people's comments too. So, you know, you got to take the good with the bad. So if you just take none of it, then you'll be fine. Life will be absolutely fine.
Yeah, the world will keep turning. But I mean, you're absolutely right in that you absolutely have paved the way for others. And we've seen the likes of Brittany Clark now from Saracens Mavericks, who's also really open, talking about her size. And it really has, I think, helped to make netball a more inclusive space. Do you feel that netball is more inclusive as a sport now?
I do. And I love Brittany Clark. And I just don't think she realises how much, like, her confidence actually inspires me to keep going as well. Like, I think we are all, like, a part of each other's journey, especially when you are the minority. And we're in a game that's so fast and so physical, and sometimes what we look like is eclipsed by what we can do. And I've seen that girl play, and yeah, she is bigger than most, but you cannot move her, and that makes her a dangerous asset to any team she plays on. So, you know, what people might perceive as a negative is actually a positive for her and the team that she's playing for. So, like, I love that she's getting out there. I just love that the game is more open to all different body shapes. We have a girl in our team, we call her Little Chloe because she is absolutely tiny. Oh my goodness, we had a team photo and I didn't even know she was between me and someone else because we still linked arms and she was down there. She was still there. And it wasn't until I was like, oh my God, Chloe, why are you there? And so we kind of joke about that. But this poor girl is absolutely small, but she's still a training partner for us here at the Stars. And she is fast and she is actually very vicious. And she's got great vision. So for someone so small, you know, there's going to be someone that sees her too and go, oh, I thought you had to be tall to play netball, you know? Yeah. So we just need to focus on the size of people, but the height. Like, there are so many different shapes that can play this game because it's not just about what you look like, it's about what you can do.
Yeah, 100%. And that is the beauty of our sport. And I'm sure my fellow Lucy will be very happy to hear that you don't need to be tall to play netball.
You just don't take photos next to tall people. That's all, Lucy. You can just avoid that. You'll be fine.
Oh, inspiration for days. I love it. So moving on a few years down the timeline, you became a mother to Sebastian in 2019 after a horrendous 72-hour labour. You then spent lockdown in Italy with a newborn. You weren't able to go back to New Zealand. And on top of this, you also experienced the heartbreak of a miscarriage. Firstly, we want to say like how sorry we are that this happened to you, and really commend you for your bravery in sharing your story. In telling this, I'm absolutely no doubt that you would have helped countless other women in the netball family to know that there is someone out there who shares in their grief. You've clearly shown a huge resilience in the face of adversity, but also the willingness and the ability to open yourself up to the world shows an enormous amount of courage, we think. Do you think that netball, as a female-led sport, almost has a responsibility to encourage these kind of deeper conversations around issues like this that impact women?
I do. I really do. Much like the bullying, the weight issues that we have surrounding young women and girls at the moment, I think we are sometimes blessed with a platform to speak on things that aren't so easily spoken about. I think that everything that I've gone through, there are so many people that have gone through the exact same thing and just carry on with life, or they find their own ways. And it's not about sharing the story, but also just sharing the pain. I believe that it is quite comforting knowing that you're not alone, and some of these things that happen to you that are not by choice, certainly don't ask for it. But I do, as a women's sport, I think, we're only just really getting our heads around talking about the menstrual cycle in netball. I believe it's something that's not so openly spoken about. It's something that is often left too late to monitor and check, because we train so hard and so often when we're younger that sometimes just by being fit and strong changes your ovulation cycle. And I think that's something that has only just been spoken about. And now we're seeing mums have babies and come back to elite sport. And I think everything that surrounds that, including not being able to fall pregnant or losing our beautiful babies, I think that is something that does need to be spoken about, and there needs to be a space for it, because we give so much of our lives to netball that people often, think about other things that are put on hold, like jobs and study and all that stuff. And we're forgetting that we've got, the only set of ovaries that your little family can kind of use, but you're trying to play netball and you absolutely cannot do both at the same time. So yeah, I think talking about it a little bit more and getting a little bit more understanding about how we can help as franchises and as netball organisations to help women make more informed decisions about how they want to navigate, I guess, the part of life that does include a partner and a family. So yeah, it is our responsibility, I think, but it's cool to see that it is being touched on very frequently, and I love it. And it's there's a visualization about it too, like Claire Brownie's come out and she's taking her baby everywhere. Sophia Candapa's, like, she's breastfeeding and playing right now. Oh, what a nightmare. But she's doing it and showing us that she can do it. There are so many mums over here in the Super League and now in New Zealand and Australia that it's beautiful. I love that I get to just be a little part of that at the moment. So it's cool.
Yeah, 100%. It does feel like as a sport, we're starting to speak out more on issues that are important to women, particularly, as you mentioned, around returning to court as a mother. There's so much great stuff happening in that space. But I do think things like, the less joyous stuff like periods and miscarriages are still rarely spoken about. And when you think about the frequency with which something like a miscarriage happens, I think the statistic for the UK is something like 1 in 4 pregnancies will end in miscarriage. It's sad to think that it's still such a taboo subject, despite being so common and so devastating.
I think that it's taboo because it's such a it's such a touchy subject to speak on. Some people don't like talking about it at all, and some people find it quite therapeutic, and so, you know, it gets stuck in a cycle because you don't know how to bring it up. My husband still doesn't really know how to talk to me about it, and we've been together for 17 years now. So and because it's such a weird thing, he doesn't know if he's going to set me off and cry, because sometimes I shut him down, like, I don't want to talk about that, you know, like, no. And so he doesn't really know how to come at me about it, but I think it's just because it's so hard to speak about. But, you know, like I said, it's not about sharing the story, it's about sharing the pain. So the more we can talk about it, the more you can kind of like speak without getting emotional, and you can sort of keep them in your memories, even though you didn't get to meet them, and, you know, like little things like that. So it is hard, and I don't push it with anyone I know has been through it, and people don't do that with me. But, you know, letting people know that you didn't do anything wrong, it's okay. A lot of us have been down the same road. It's all right. You can talk to me whenever you're ready. I think that's all we can do, but it is happening a lot, and, you know, we need to know what part netball is playing in it, because it's very devastating, and I think it's something that we can offer help for.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right in that it is so deeply personal, and I think that's where almost the tabooness comes on. The should we talk about it, should we not talk about it? But I think what the beauty of what you do as an individual is you create that safe space in talking about your own experiences. You're then opening that up for those who do want to share and do want to talk about it, and you've become such a role model for thousands and thousands of women. Like, how does it feel to be considered a role model?
Or, you know, that's not my job. Like, I don't take it for granted at all, and I'm very aware of it, and I'm very conscious of who I wanted to see when I was younger, but I really don't want the responsibility of, I guess, being responsible for someone else's emotions and, I guess, their life choices. I'm just trying really, really hard to try and be who I wanted to see when I was younger, in my place, not just in life, but as a mum and as a netball player, as I want to be who I needed to see when I was younger. And as long as I've done that, then that's fine.
Yeah.
I can die happy.
Yeah, 100%.
Hopefully not too soon.
Yeah, God.
No, I'm not going anywhere in a hurry. I'm sure people would love that. No chance. No chance. There's still many more people I need to tick off.
I can't wait to hear you in comms in 40 years' time, still going at it.
Oh, that was a shit pass. Gonna put my teeth in. Oh my goodness.
Honestly, Kat, this is why everyone loves you. You're so unapologetically and unashamedly yourself, and that is freaking amazing.
We've got a couple more quickfire questions for you, Kat. So firstly, who is the toughest defender you've ever come up against?
This one's easy because people often ask me that, and it's Jiva Mentor. The thing about her is she's really annoying. But I've just found that over the years, you know, because of my size, people would come in against me and just try and push me around, because they knew that I would, whenever I would stand up for myself, the penalty would be mine. And so I never respected that shit. I was just like, come on, man, come and try and get the ball. You're actually playing a game where you're asking the umpire to get the ball for you. I don't respect that for 1 second. So that became a bit of a habit, because umpires just would assume that I've slammed people back when they make it look like they've been hit really hard. When in reality, if I wanted to hit you, you'd know about it.
You'd know about it.
So that became a bit of a theme towards the back end of my career. So Jiva never did that. Jiva was very slimy. she would work her feet and she would work it out from a physical point of view to take the ball off me. And as annoying as it was, I found it really interesting and challenging to play against because it made me have to change absolutely everything. So she is one person that I respect because I felt the respect of her actually trying to netball out of playing against me. So it was great. So she was actually the hardest. She was a thinker. I respect that.
I love that. I'm going to say to Jiva, if she does a second book, that should be one of the quotes on the outside of the cover. Jiva's very slimy.
She is sneaky. She's very annoying. How about she can use that?
Yeah. And what is the best thing about growing up in a big family?
The best thing about growing up in a big family is that you never had to do the dishes on your own.
Love that. Love absolutely love it. And finally, Kat, what is the worst netball game you've ever played in?
Like where I played bad?
Or when the game went completely down the toilet?
The worst game that I have ever played in? Well, okay. The only game that comes to mind is at the Commonwealth Games. Silver Ferns, our very first game for our Commonwealth Games journey was against Malawi. And, Malawi were coming up, but there was no way they should have beaten us. They almost beat us. I think we ended up winning by about 3. Oh, man, did we get in trouble. That honestly is no disrespect to Malawi. They were on their way, man. But that was kind of the beginning of we're a real threat to everybody kind of era. Now they're a true threat and you just can't even look away. And we went in and we were just atrocious. We couldn't pass to each other, missing goals left, right and centre. We couldn't get the ball off them. And they didn't even have Mary Wire. I don't know if you remember. And she just used to throw, you just couldn't catch her. They would do 1,000 passes before a shot. It was past her time. She wasn't even playing. And we just couldn't score any goals, and we got in the biggest trouble. And then they told us to stay offline because the New Zealand press had ripped us to shreds.
Oh, God.
So I don't know. That just popped up in my mind. So that was probably one of the worst ones. Our expectations are really high going in. Then we're like, yeah, we're going to get this gold, and then we play like that on our first game.
Yeah. Yikes. Do you know what I can't wait for? So just while you've been talking about that, I would love to see, did you watch the Last Dance documentary with Michael Jordan?
Yeah.
On Netflix. I would love to see a version of that about your life.
Oh,
just
my God.
All of those stories, clips from the games, everything. If Netflix, if you're listening, get in touch. Because I think that'd be amazing.
Are you trying to get me in trouble? Because I'll let everybody's secrets out.
That's what we want. That's what we want. Oh man.
I'll do
Kat, thank you so much. I cannot tell you how much we have enjoyed this chat. It's been such a pleasure to have you on. Thank you, and thank you to little Leo as well. So beautifully. Hopefully we'll see you back out on court in the VNSL in the not too distant future. But thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Cheers, Kat.
What an amazing conversation with Kat. She is such an incredible, inspiring person. I meant what I said about the Last Dance style documentary. Honestly, Netflix, we've got to get that because she's had such an amazing journey. Just everything that could have happened in someone's life has happened to her. And she's so open and honest about it. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is that openness and that honesty for me that really gets me. Like, she's just so willing to share her story. And I think that's incredible. It's quite rare, actually. So what a treasure she is for our sport.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we wrap up, it's time to take a look ahead to the next week of matches, round 7, unbelievably, of the Vitality Netball Superleague. And this year, we've teamed up with Sideline TV to pick our Showdown of the week, highlighting 2 key players who we cannot wait to see go head-to-head. So, Luce, who are we looking at this week?
Oh, this was actually really difficult to choose this week. There was quite a few different options that we could have gone for. Notable mention for Lindsay Keeble on Proscovia Peace, Laura Malcolm on Jade Clark. There were so many, but we have gone for Imogen Allison versus Nat Panigari.
Ooh.
I think this is going to be a super spicy one. They're both linchpins in their respective sides. And I think with the news, obviously, of Serena Guthrie not playing for this season, this is really Alison's time to shine and to take ownership of that C bib, which she has been doing up until now, but there's always been that question mark of when's Serena coming back, and you just assume that she would get the starting spot. But now this is hers for the taking.
Yeah.
Nat Panigari, on the other hand, is one of the most solid and reliable players in the entire league. And that mid-court combo for Lightning of Joseph in wing attack, her in centre, and then Cobden in wing defence is borderline unbreakable. They're absolutely incredible. So I'm really keen to see that the impact that these two players will have on each other.
Yeah, it might be one of those games where they just kind of cancel each other out, and they just nullify. Yeah, I think that is a really great matchup. It's going to be super exciting. Let us know what you all think by heading to our socials, and don't forget to tag @sideline.tv.
Thank you so much, as always, for listening to this episode of Qtr Time. We honestly can't wait to bring you more netball chat and a wrap-up of round 7 next week, as well as doing a nice big feature on the ANZ competition starting this weekend, for which we will have a super special guest joining us.
Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and follow us on social media @Qtr Time Pod for the latest netball updates. Do get involved in the conversation online by letting us know what you think of the matches this weekend and the ANZ Premiership, and also which players have stood out for you.
We'd also really appreciate it if you could just take a second to rate and review the podcast, as it helps other people to find us. If you enjoy listening to the pod, do let us know, and do spread the word with your netball pals so even more people can get involved. Don't forget as well to check out our partners Carbon Jacked and to take advantage of the exclusive 30% discount on their memberships using the code NetballPod. Take care, everyone. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.